Welcome back to the Ross Bolen podcast. I am your host, Ross, here with my dear friend, The Bone, back on his throne, the newly engaged Jared Borislow.
I did it, Ross.
You did it. Jared's been in Wisconsin since last Wednesday, where he dropped the rock on his longtime girlfriend in what was a nearly disastrous situation timing-wise. You pulled it off.
I did. I was considering dropping the rock on the rock, but I realized I couldn't afford a rock worthy of the rock, so I dropped it on my girlfriend of the last 6 years instead.
Instead of Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Think about how big, number one, of a ring. Like, what's his ring size? It's got to be like 12.
You know his ex-wife is like his manager?
Really?
Yeah. No bullshit.
You ever think about going that route?
Nope. Didn't cross my mind. Not even once.
But I did it, Ross. It was great. Went off without a hitch. My family was there. Got to have all them celebrate with us.
Beautiful. That's what you want.
It was, like I said, it was 6 years in the making. So, you know, I knew I was going to do it this year.
You planned the proposal for 6 years?
Well, it was 6 years in the making. You know, when you start dating, naturally it ends in a proposal.
Oh, sure. You started dating 6 years ago.
Yeah. Now, if you want the full entire breakdown,
right.
in-depth story,
juicy details,
we'll be talking about that on the Friday episode of the Ross Bolen Podcast, available only at patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast.
That is very true, Jared. Patreon, patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast for this week's ad-free exclusive edition of the Ross Bolen Podcast for supporters of the show. It's where we do more personal stuff like Jared's engagement story coming this Friday, or mental health minisodes, and things that make more sense in an intimate setting for our biggest supporters and fans. That will always be on patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast. So be there this Friday. Among the many things we missed with Jared out last week in what was almost definitely a top 10 moment in the history of this podcast, Ted Cruz, the disgraced Texas senator who is a skid mark on the underpants of society, a spineless worm of a parasite feeding on our very humanity, that Ted Cruz retweeted a clip from our show on Twitter, at the Ross Bolen Podcast on Twitter, to his over 4.5 million followers. Long story short, to catch everyone up, several episodes ago, Jared asked me about Ted Cruz's sports allegiances. And he's often cited at Astros games, most recently, and Rockets games, and I made some jokes at Ted's expense. That bit of the show was made into a clip by Content Cade, the third and newest member of the full-time Bolen media team. And in his first week of official full-time work, Cade started a beef with a United States senator, which makes Bolen media incredibly proud.
A sitting United States senator.
Indeed. So I took that clip from the show and I posted it after Cade created it on TikTok and Instagram and Twitter with the caption, "Rap Game Ted Cruz," at Drake at Ted Cruz, right? I tagged Drake and Ted Cruz on all the platforms because fuck it. The caption was short. It worked. Character count is like gold in my world. And I was like, if one of them sees this, you know, and they might think it's funny. And lo and behold, I get a call from Jared on, what day was it?
Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
You're like, Ross, you're not going to believe this. And I have no idea what's going on. I can't tell if something bad has happened from his reaction or his tone of voice, or if something good has happened. I really can't get a feel for it.
I was like hyperventilating because it was like these moments of massive content come about a handful of times.
Yeah, there's stuff like this in our careers. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years, and stuff like this happens very rarely, where you have a moment that's like a potential breakthrough, you know, to a large audience, or just an incredible interaction with an actual celebrity or A-lister or member of the government in this case. And Jared was clearly excited as he told me to pull up Twitter, and I realized what was happening. I'll just read it to you. Ted Cruz quote tweeted us. All right, he quote tweets the Rap Game Ted Cruz at Drake at Ted Cruz with the video attached, the whole podcast tweet in there. Which the first thing Jared and I are asking is like, why did he quote tweet us? It makes me think he must have liked it in some capacity, right? Because why give us the shine? Why not just reply and burn us or whatever? You know what I mean? It's like it really
Yeah.
didn't make strategically, but he's one of those idiots like Trump who just any publicity at all, they try to harness it and turn it into more talk about themselves, right?
Yeah. And he's known as somebody who, like, in the last 3 years, admittedly, Ted Cruz has had some good tweets. He clearly got either a good social media intern or a good publicist who's like, hey, every once in a while, you need to have some self-awareness. He has every once in a while one of those. But those ones are very clearly not crafted by him.
Right.
This one, if you look at it and you read it and you see the errors and you see the typos, you know it had to have been Ted because he would have fired somebody if this is what they had put up and it was not him.
It was an emotional response. He said, not sure who these guys are, but my sports allegiances are clear. 1, I'll root for any Texas team against any non-Texas team. And 2, I'll root for Houston against anybody. I grew up cheering for Jose Cruz and the Astros. I bleed Rockets red and was at Game 7 in 1994 for our first championship. So then I quote tweeted Ted on my personal Twitter account at WR and said, Houston against anybody except a natural disaster. Then you're a Cancun fan.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what occurred. My tweet, quote tweeting him, has 256 retweets, 2,137 likes. Ted's original quote tweet has 54 retweets, 594 likes. I ratioed Ted Cruz.
Yes, you did.
Please clap.
Please clap.
It was a beautiful moment. To get back to his tweet, just to break this thing down. Not sure who these guys are.
Ted, if you had taken that line out, the entire message of your tweet remains the same. He didn't need to say that.
It's the Trumpy line, though.
Yeah.
It's the Trumpy line. You have to deliver some kind of ego blow to the opponent, right?
Yep.
Which in this case is idiotic because we have like, how many Twitter followers do we have? 30,000? I don't know.
Twitter, we only have like 7,000.
Not very many.
No.
Ted Cruz has 4.6 million.
Like, Ted, if you
We know
you don't know who we are.
that you don't know who we are, Mr. Cruz, respectively.
But you saying that, then
Not respectfully, respectively.
him saying that makes it sound like he maybe should know who we are.
The whole thing, if his people had contacted us and said, if you pay us $20,000, we will quote tweet your tweet with this attached, I would have probably done it. And they did it for free. It's crazy. I couldn't have written a better, it's just, he just teed it up so perfectly. And for those of you who are, either international or not in Texas and hopefully don't have to regularly see Ted Cruz's face, the guy just generally sucks. He routinely makes decisions that show that he doesn't really give much of a shit about anybody else except himself. And most famously, when the great freeze-pocalypse happened in Texas, he evacuated to Cancun. Then
Oysters, Clams, and Cockles co-host Barrett Dudley, by the way, had a great Halloween costume of Ted Cruz in the airport headed to Cancun.
He did. It's a famous image now. And he then tried to say he was just dropping off his daughter and flew back at like 6 a.m. the next day.
Yeah, very normal thing to do is to get on an airplane with your daughter because, unaccompanied minors, nobody wants to have one of those.
What would happen? It's a flight. It was a ridiculous situation. And the guy, that's just one of many, 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 many shitty things he's done over the course of his long, tenured, shitty career. And to have, we've been making fun of this guy since before this podcast existed in content. Like when we were doing content at our old company, Jared and I, and there have been long-standing bits with our friends on the Circling Back podcast regarding Ted Cruz's quotes about queso.
It dribbles down your chin.
I mean, the dude is a caricature of a caricature at this point.
Yeah.
And he quote tweeted the show in some attempt to I don't even know. That's where I go back to, because here's the thing I know about Ted Cruz. Not a moron. Okay?
I think he went to an Ivy League school.
Yeah, that doesn't mean shit. But, most of the time it doesn't mean shit. Sometimes it means shit. A lot of the times it means you're smart on paper. But being smart on paper is a lot different than being smart in a place where it matters in reality. Okay? But this dude is not a moron. He's smart. And it's what makes him dangerous because he doesn't give a shit and he's smart.
My least favorite thing he does is when he's confronted with the truth about how shitty he is. He like does the Ted Cruz laugh and head shake, and it pisses me off so much. Yeah, Ross is doing it right now.
Like he's just like you. It's like I can't believe that this person thinks they could possibly catch me in a lie or doing something wrong. Like I am stupid enough to get caught by you people.
Meanwhile, he was called Lion Ted by Trump and was told his wife was ugly by Trump, and then was on a phone bank for Trump after Trump beat him in the primary.
I think he also, President Trump accused the late Ted Cruz Sr., or whatever his dad's name was, Ted Cruz's dad, of assassinating
John F. Kennedy.
John F. Kennedy, who recently the QAnoners thought that JFK Jr. was going to spring forth from the grave or something and announce a candidacy.
I believe he died in a plane crash.
Current presidency or candidacy. I don't know, but the QAnoners, you know how they are, man. They come up with some crazy, wild shit out there on the internet with their free time.
Yeah.
Of which they have very much.
Yeah, so, Ted Cruz also notably the Zodiac killer.
Do you think he listens to the show? Do you think he'll hear this episode today?
I think he's not sure who we are.
I think there's a higher percent chance than you and I are aware of that he could be listening to our voices right now. And I don't even mean the recorded episode once it's out. I mean that this house might now be bugged by the government and that he might be actually listening to us live.
It's a possibility.
I thought about that over the weekend. Somebody drove by the house earlier and took a picture of it. You think it was Ted Cruz's people?
Probably one of the real estate vultures.
It is.
But
it was.
But I am going to title this episode, Ted Cruz Isn't Sure Who We Are.
Of course.
So he might see that
and then
be sure who we are.
Be at least more sure who we are. But it was pretty clear. Ross Bolen pod, and then the clip. I thought it was clear that it was that we were a show, and my name is Ross and your name is Jared and we discuss stuff. I thought that was clear who we are.
Yeah. I mean, my family was really proud of me, though, around the engagement. My family and my girlfriend, or fiance, my fiance, I can say that now.
Yeah.
Her family.
Weird, huh?
They were really proud of me.
Your fiance.
They were very proud of me for Ted Cruz not being sure who I am. They were like, it's actually pretty big of you.
There are not that many moments in my career where I stop what I'm doing and send something to everyone I know. This was one of them. I sent that quote tweet to everyone that I give a shit about. Everyone. I was like, look, I did it. I did it. We trolled this fuckstick into promoting our show to the worst audience possible.
It's just amazing because, the only reason why this all happened is because we pissed Ted Cruz off by saying he was a bad sports fan.
He is.
We made him sports mad.
Yeah, and I intentionally, when we were discussing it, accused him of Rangers fandom.
Yeah, that is
which
probably what
really is the thing I think that got under his skin. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm pretty sure I've never seen him at a Rangers game, but fuck Ted Cruz, What
I was thinking of, this whole clip started because the picture I was thinking of was one we actually made a picture of at some point.
Yeah.
That I photoshopped our podcast into, of Ted Cruz wearing a Baylor shirt and a Houston Cougars hat. So that's what when I was thinking he was a bad fan, it was that picture, which is funny.
Because he had a Drakey moment.
Yeah, and what's funny is that he had said Houston over anybody, and he had a Baylor shirt on. So if you're rooting for Houston Cougars and Baylor Bears?
Yeah, it's a Texas school. One of his daughters probably goes there that he takes to Cancun or whatever. Who knows, man? But thanks for the promo, Ted. We appreciate you. If you could be less shitty at your job, that would be dope. This episode of RBP is brought to you by Liquid IV. Winter is here. Cold and flu season comes with it. You need to be proactive, keep your body fueled up and hydrated. Jared and I do that with our sponsor, Liquid IV. Seriously, we both drink these daily. They're delicious. My mom is obsessed with them. They've been a sponsor forever. We love Liquid IV dearly. Making hydration a priority helps us feel healthier on a day-to-day basis, fuels us to be our highest potential. One stick of Liquid IV and 16 ounces of water hydrates faster and more efficiently than water alone. So you get a thing of water, crack open a little, tear off the top of the Liquid IV packet, you dump it into the water, you stir it up, you drink it.
Check this out. Ready? I'm going to drink Liquid IV live on air. This has never been done.
Become 3 times more hydrated right before our eyes, Jared. My God, you're glowing. Look at you. Magnificent. Wow. How hydrated do you feel? Tell the people.
I feel like I'm made of water. I'm like Osmosis Jones.
You just became a superhero, an X-Man, right before our eyes with one sip of liquid IV.
What's my X-Man name? Waterboy?
I don't know. That's not great. We'll try and work on that.
Alligators don't have teeth or whatever Bobby Boucher says.
We'll workshop all of that, Jared. Yeah. But liquid IV is delicious, and it will have, none of those results are guaranteed, by the way, the ones that turn you into Waterboy and make you a superhero. But they also have their Hydration Multiplier Plus Immune Support, which is a cutting-edge blend of vitamin C, zinc, and Wellmune in convenient single-serving packets to help strengthen your immune system during the winter months, when obviously it is easy to come down with a cold or a flu or the sniffles or whatever. And some of us just have difficulty drinking water throughout the day. A lot of us, in fact, struggle to drink enough water. So Liquid IV can be one of those things that if you make a part of your morning routine, your lunch routine, or whatever. I drink Liquid IV before recordings, before runs, before workouts to make sure I stay hydrated and healthy on the day-to-day and give my body the tools it needs to fuel the beast. Get your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco or order online and get 25% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code ROSS at checkout. 25% off liquidiv.com. Anything on the website. When you get better hydration today using the promo code ROSS at checkout at liquidiv.com.
And now, Ross Bolen's Animal of the Week.
That's my favorite song.
Jared. So one of my best friends, his dad is like a retired oil executive, okay? Awesome dude. British immigrant turned American citizen on a trip, okay, right now in Morocco. This just makes him sound like James Bond, so I'm telling it fully. He's in Morocco doing rich retired dude shit.
One time my brother, by the way, was in Morocco.
Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff. My brother notably has traveled the world a lot. And my parents texted me one day, like a year ago, and were like, hey, we haven't heard from Jeff in like 3 days. He's in Morocco. Have you heard from him? I was like, no. For about like 3 hours, I thought my brother was dead
In Morocco.
Yeah.
I mean, based on what you're about to find out, it sounds like it's a crazy place, and that might not be all that difficult to do. Because my buddy gets his photo from his dad. It's of a tree in Morocco. And I'm going to let you guess what the tree is filled with, okay? I'll give you 3 guesses, Jared. What is in this tree in Morocco?
Christmas ornaments.
No, that's not correct.
Fancy little men.
No, not fancy small men. No.
A flock of large feathered camels.
That's the closest you've been. They're goats.
Oh.
They're okay,
Wait, goats
so,
like LeBron?
like fucking goats, okay? I mean, not fucking goats. They're not having sex, but they're goats. Goats in a tree. Tree goats. They're tree goats. They're these crazy-ass tree goats that gather in the argan trees of Morocco because they love the nuts. Argan nuts.
Sounds like a D's nuts joke.
It's just, this is a real thing. Like, it's not even like one of those weird, it's like, oh yeah, this happened like one time and a guy got a picture. No. Like if you Google Moroccan tree goats, this is crazy. But so like sometimes it'll be like 4 or 5 goats. The picture my buddy's dad sent us and that I'll have attached to the TikTok we make out of this, it's like 20 goats. It looks like somebody decorated a tree. Like with Christmas ornaments, instead of Christmas ornaments, they had goats. And they just put a goat in all these different spots. It's crazy.
I have a reference for like 5 people listening right now. If you've ever been to Door County, Wisconsin, which I've actually never been to, there is a very famous Swedish restaurant called Al Johnson's. And it's really famous, and you may have seen pictures of it around the country because their roof of the restaurant is sodded. There's a bunch of grass on the roof of the restaurant, and there's a bunch of goats that walk on top of the restaurant all day, every day.
It's kind of dope.
Eating the grass.
Till one falls through the roof onto your head and crushes you.
Yeah, I believe
I
believe one of Al Johnson's grandsons or great-grandsons is actually a member of my fraternity.
How do you... Oh, that's how you know it.
Yeah.
They made you memorize this when you were a pledge, didn't you? You little pledge bitch, Jared. I'm going to take you out back and spank you so hard after this. Anyway, argan nuts contain... so they pass through... This is the crazy part. That I haven't even gotten to the crazy part. Goat tree. Picture it. Tree. Goats all scattered throughout the tree. So these nuts pass through the digestive system, of a tree goat whole, okay? Once they're excreted, meaning the goat shits them out of his asshole, People gather them from the goat turds, crack them open to get the seeds inside, and these argan nuts contain anywhere from 1 to 3 oil-rich kernels. These kernels are then roasted, ground, mashed, or cold-pressed to produce argan oil, one of the most highly sought-after culinary and cosmetic liquids in the world. And to give you an example, at Sephora, a 1.7-ounce bottle of argan oil goes for $48.
I have heard of argan oil. It seems like one of those oils that people talk about and is expensive, but like doesn't actually have any real meaning. But you're just supposed to use it on your body.
What are those oils? Essential oils?
Yeah, is argan an essential oil?
A girl I went to high school with been slinging those on Facebook for a minute. She actually sent me one for anxiety at one point.
Did you like it?
I didn't open it. I was scared of it. Like it might be witch liquid or something. I don't know. I've since become much more open to these sorts of things. I actually don't care. You can spray whatever on me and I'm with it.
People like peppermint as an essential oil. They say it cures like stomach aches and stuff. Peppermint oil.
Phrasing. But yeah, people like all kinds of oils. But the thing is, when you get an oil, you're not like, man, I really hope this oil wasn't shit out of a tree goat's asshole. It just, the places that the things we pay extravagant amounts of money for come from, in some cases, are outrageous. And this is one of them where...
Another one, ambergris. It's a very popular perfume ingredient. It's the vomit of a sperm whale.
Vomit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like you said, this is the thing, all right? Like when, with medicine, for example, somebody had to try a whole bunch of different combinations of plants and crap before we got the first Advil or whatever. Who was out there in the ocean just like, all right, today we're going to test out different vomits. Let's get some of these fish to throw up, and we'll take their vomit and see if we can make it into fancy stuff for the rich whites back in America. What the fuck? Just whale vom?
Mm-hmm. Sperm whale.
Sperm whale vom, specifically.
I would prefer the vomit
of a blue whale?
The vomit of a sperm whale.
To a blue whale?
To the sperm of a vomit whale.
Okay, well, yeah, that's everybody.
Could you imagine? What if I said that? What if I was like, yeah, they actually make perfume out of the sperm of the vomit whale?
That wouldn't actually be that weird, considering they're making argan oil out of nuts that goats in Morocco who live in trees shit out. At $500 a pound, as another example from CBS, $500 a pound, black ivory coffee is the most expensive cup of joe in the world, made from beans that have been hand-picked from the dung of elephants in the Golden Triangle area of Thailand. $500 a pound.
That's a lot. It's a lot for poop coffee. I've talked before about the coffee that the little weasels poop out in Indonesia. Remember? I forget what it's called.
Why do we do this, though? It's like, that's an insane amount of money to put toward something that is then literally just going to cause you to immediately shit it back out.
Mm-hmm. So that's a great question.
It's mind-blowing. When I was reading about these tree goats and the argan nuts that they consume, poo, and turn into delicious oil for the humans to rub on their bodies, on one website, this is no shit, no pun intended, one website said, although it is illegal, scammers will tie goats all day to the trees in the hot sun, hoping to elicit money from you when you stop for pictures. If this happens, leave immediately. It's the only way to send the message that animal cruelty doesn't pay.
Wow.
I don't think it's the only way to send the message, but it certainly is a way to not directly support it, I think is what they were going for there. So not only are the humans insane enough to harvest goat shit nuts and turn them into an oil for sale, we're insane enough that we then notice that industry and the people taking photos of it to go get goats and tie them in trees like Christmas ornaments so that people will stop for photos and then have to tip. That's where we're at.
Yep.
We are crushing it.
We are. And this is actually a good time for a surprise segment.
And now, Ross Bolen's Animal of the Week.
Were we already doing this segment? How is this a surprise segment? Let me guess, you pressed the wrong button.
No, that's the right button. Sorry, I didn't have time to record Jared Borislow's Animal of the Week.
Okay.
It's the vomit whale.
What is wrong with you?
Half of the time Ross was doing that segment, I was just laughing at the idea of there being a vomit whale. What the fuck kind of...
What would it be, Jared? Describe it to us.
Okay, well, the vomit whale...
If you spent all that time, this better be good. What is the vomit whale, Jared?
The vomit whale is native to the Indian Ocean.
It's a very specific ocean.
Yeah, so, well, not just... It doesn't
That's
roam
what it's native to, though.
Yeah, well, it doesn't roam the entire Indian Ocean. It's known to mate. It'll chase fish and have sex with them all around the Indian Ocean. Any fish.
Other fish, not just other vomit whales. So
Any
interspecies. What about an octopus?
Is that a fish? Then the vomit whale will fuck it. Now, here's what's interesting. The vomit whale is localized around Adam Newman's island on the Maldives.
Yeah.
And
everybody knows WeWork's Adam Newman's island on the Maldives.
And he's known to bathe in the sperm of the vomit whale in order to increase his chakra and in order to feel one with Mother Ocean.
I heard Adam Newman bathes in the sperm of the vomit whale so that he might achieve eternal life. He thinks it gives him youth.
Nobody knows exactly why Adam Newman bathes in the sperm of the vomit whale, but it's only well documented that he in fact does.
What are candles made of? Like this is what you would find out candles are made of. Yeah, like casually one day you'd be at Nordstrom shopping for a candle for a Nana, and you'd ask, "Hey, what's this candle made of?" And they'd go, "Oh, that's the sperm of a vomit whale." That's the kind of random shit. Like when they first told you that a glue was made from a horse, and you're like, "Hey, what?"
My fiance, I could say that.
Your fiance,
she's not gonna like me telling the story.
That's not a good start.
No, she is going to like it,
or your engagement.
She is going to like it, but
Okay.
it's a funny, embarrassing story.
You think she's laughing at the vomit whale?
I think she liked that.
All right.
So I almost
See
tweeted
how
this.
well you know your fiance. Find out real quick. Episode 1. You're getting home. Vomit whale, Jared? My whole family listened to that one, Jared. Nana listened to that one, Jared. How am I supposed to explain the candle I bought her for fucking Christmas, Jared?
So we were talking, and she was like, she was like, "What is soap?" And I was like, "A soap."
What the fuck do you mean? Were you on mushrooms? What is soap?
Well, she goes, "Wait, soap's not like a natural substance,
Naturally occurring element?
She's like, I've been buying soap that was 100% soap.
Like someone, it's mined. Soap is mined. You mine for it in the ground. Soap. That's one though that I also think is from gross stuff. Soap. Lots of soaps are made from fats, whale fats, and stuff.
Animal product.
God, all kinds of just really
Shouts to my
interesting.
fiance though.
Shouts, Jared, to you too, both of you. Cheers. That segment was dedicated to you two and your love.
Thank you.
What was it even? The animal of the week, the Moroccan tree goat / vomit whale.
The vomit whale. Ricky Prosper, I know you're listening.
Yeah,
I
we're
need
going to go
you-
ahead and need that invented for us.
I need you to please draw me a picture of the vomit whale.
You know what they say on Inside the NBA? They say, underdog, throw that on a T-shirt. Ricky, throw that on a T-shirt. We're going to need to slang some... Look, the holiday season is coming. We're fixing to launch merch soon. It is known, bolenmedia.com. But we're going to need a vomit whale tee if we really want to hit our revenue goals. So help us out there. Sweet God. I'm glad we got laughs in, Jared, because this is going to take a turn.
Yeah.
As this show often does. But in really sad news, when you were gone over the weekend, Travis Scott held his annual Astroworld Festival in Houston, or kicked it off anyway. And as I'm sure you've heard, 8 people died over the course of the first night in what has now been identified as a massively irresponsible disaster of an event put on by Live Nation and Travis Scott. Lawsuits are ensuing. All hell has broken loose. Now, I'm not going to sit here and roast Travis Scott for a half hour, but as I said on Twitter, Travis Scott and his whole rage and break shit shtick is done. It's irresponsible. Like, this is like killing people for money. What the fuck do you think? You're helping these people by telling them, act like there aren't rules. And then I also tweeted, I wouldn't go to a Travis Scott concert if he offered to let me stand on stage with him, and I wouldn't work at Barstool if Portnoy offered me his entire net worth. And I almost felt bad for Travis until I saw footage of him doing the robot like less than 100 yards from a full medical team tending to someone as he's like elevated and very clearly should have seen that shit and seen that shit had hit the fan and stopped the show.
It was also not a good robot.
It was not a good robot. I don't know what would have been better. Him executing a flawless like robot up there in the background. At least that would have made me think like, well, he's so focused in the zone. But dude, and the thing is, there's not that many people between him and the because the crowd has started to clear out because people were like, oh my God, there's death occurring. Like there were our listeners at this thing, man. I had somebody hit me up the day before and offer me tickets. Hey, if you can get down to Houston, you can go with me. I was like, I can't travel right now, or I would. I really, really appreciate it. We had people there. It's crazy. Like, and him and Kendall Jenner have both like issued these, blanket apologies on Instagram stories or whatever the fuck. It's just his whole brand was built on chaos, and at some point, something like this was going to happen. And the way my parents put it was that this shit happens like every 20 years. And then they rewrite the rules around events. That it's historically every 20 years, there's some horrifying concert gone wrong that reshapes the way live events are held. And there were only 50,000 people at this thing. It's not like it was like some insane record-breaking crowd, okay? It was 50,000 people. Okay, I've been in a crowd surge that size at Austin City Music. What the hell is Austin City Limits Music Festival? Thank you. ACL. Here in Austin. And I can't remember which year it was. I can't remember which headliner it was, but it was at night, end of the day, night has fallen, crowd is packed in, and I was in a good spot. And when I say good spot, I mean like I was like 40 rows deep, okay? I was not too close to where I'm insane by any means necessary, but like I was in the under 30 section of the crowd for sure. All right? This was years ago. And I remember getting stuck in a crowd surge where thousands of people were simultaneously. That's what a crowd surge is. It's everybody pushing forward at once, simultaneously, in an effort to get just a few feet closer to some fucking band or musician. Just a few feet closer to the stage, so maybe what?
So you can get a good video on your phone now. That's what it's for.
Like, you never seen what these dudes look like or something? Like, they're giant screens to the left and the right of the stage in fucking 8K. You can pull up their Instagram on your phone and hold it up if you want to see their face clearly while they're performing. I've never really understood it. It's one of those things about music festivals that honestly it was the only thing about them that I didn't like was dealing with the other humans there.
My thought is,
why are you pushing out?
I really think it's the whole like, oh, I need to get a good video on my Instagram story. I need to get as close as possible so I can show my friends how many people I killed.
The thought for everybody at the music festival and for all the selfish assholes who push and the people who cut through and are just dicks about it, it's like you want to get as close as possible, right? But what I'm saying is that general philosophy is idiotic.
Yeah. But I want to also, part of the crowd surge is like the dispersal of blame to everybody, right? Now, you have the people who are like in the front, who have everybody behind them pushing, and it's like those people are then stuck, even though they probably pushed their way up there. But then you have people in the back who are pushing up, and they have no idea what's going on all the way up there. So it's like really hard for people to understand what's going on.
Everybody knows who's responsible in a crowd surge, though, right?
It's the artist, yeah.
There are those,
the event manager as well.
No, I'm saying in the crowd, there are those of us who are actively like, what the fuck, trying to stop it. And there are those of us who are like, yeah, pushing forward. And it's like, you can't blame the whole crowd. No, and they're not going to charge the whole crowd with anything here because that's not a thing. But like we've talked about festival etiquette before. Like it's already a problem. Like I've been at a small show at Stubbs seeing Snoop. Not small, but like that's a small venue comparably. It's not 50,000 people. It's like 2. Where the girl next to me was so drunk, obnoxiously running into me, bouncing off me the whole night that it ruined the concert. Like that's not an uncommon thing. at music festivals because people don't know how to behave. They act like, oh, I'm out here at this festival. All the rules are out the window. And that's kind of what it feels like, right? Like you're going to summer camp. And that's what Trav was trying to sell. But on top of it, it's the rager he was like actively promoting jump over barricades and attack security and shit. Not necessarily for this show, but he's done this in the past. And there was marketing for this event.
Attack security?
Deleted. Yeah. At one point, he had encouraged people to allegedly attack security at a past show. He's had all kinds of issues. And this is the first one where obviously there was a loss of life and it becomes something much more serious. But this dude, it's a really weird situation because he's kind of been adopted as this like poster boy for Houston, but he was never one of these underground rappers in Houston. He didn't come up like Mike Jones or Lil Flip or Paul Wall or any of the dudes that I grew up on. Or like he just kind of came out of nowhere, man. As I put it on Banging the Can, he was like born from Kanye's ass as his protege, this fucking flaming rock star out of nowhere. And he's just kind of become the Houston guy. But like he doesn't, I mean, I don't know that the city really feels like that about it. It's not really that, is not necessarily reciprocated the way people think it is nationwide. So it's even weirder because he just looks, it's such a bad look. Optics wise, this is pretty much as bad. Unless he had like directly gone into the crowd and shot a fan, this is about as bad as it gets for an artist. So it's just going to be interesting to see how he attempts to bounce back from this or brand-wise recover from it or make it right. Like,
yeah, well, they said I just saw right before recording that he's going to pay for all the funerals of all the 8 people.
That's good.
So
that's a start.
Least you can do.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I can't imagine sending your kid to a music festival and they don't come back.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, nobody should have to worry about that going to go see some music be performed, bro. And I get that it's hype. We all want to like turn up and it's lit or whatever, but there's limits to that shit. And if you're like pushing people, and the thing you've seen, I've been at a show at ACL where I saw somebody get dragged out because they had passed out or had a drug experience or whatever. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I saw them get dragged past me like a fucking basically lifeless body. And I was just like, holy freaking hell. This is out of control. And this was at a normal show. It was just hot outside that day. That was what was out. I was like, this is dangerous. It's too hot.
Now, here's the real question. Does this now make Travis Scott officially Cactus Jack?
Does he take the title from you? No. That's reserved for funny people who don't encourage chaos.
Okay.
Generally.
So now Cactus Jack is actually better than Cactus Jack.
Still you, though. Still you.
Nobody calls me that.
If you push forward at a festival or concert, you're a dangerous moron and should be banned from music for life. From CNN, Houston authorities say the criminal investigation into the deadly crowd surge could take weeks. Several lawsuits have been filed against Scott, the entertainment company, and others. People, I just want to end this segment by saying we are still living in a society. It's been a long pandemic, but holy shit, keep it together. And if you're struggling to do so, pay attention. We've spent a lot of time the last year and a half between jokes talking about mental health and ways to improve our lives with mindfulness and conscious living. And if you have 10 minutes, today's sponsor, Headspace, can change your life. And they really already have, technically, because today's episode is brought to you by Headspace. Headspace is your daily dose of mindfulness in the form of guided meditations in an easy-to-use app. One of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research. So whatever the situation, Headspace really can make you feel better. If you're overwhelmed, which happens to everyone I am aware of that is living, Headspace has a 3-minute SOS meditation. So like if you're at work and you're like, God damn, I'm really stressed to the point that it's impacting my ability to do stuff. Go take a minute, go to the bathroom or just at your desk, get the Headspace app out, throw on the headphones, 3-minute SOS meditation, boom, you're good. Need some help falling asleep? They've got a wind down session their members swear by. And for parents, they even have morning meditations you can do with your kids. It's just a great example to set. Get the day started in a positive way with your children. Headspace's approach to mindfulness can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, increase your overall sense of well-being. It's amazing, backed by 25 published studies on its benefits, 600,000 five-star reviews, and over 60 million downloads. Headspace makes it easy for you to build a life-changing meditation practice with mindfulness that works for you on your schedule, anytime, anywhere. You deserve to feel happier. Headspace is meditation made simple. Go to headspace.com/Ross for a free 1-month trial with access to Headspace's full library of meditations for every situation. The best deal offered right now. So head to headspace.com/Ross today. And speaking of keeping it together, holy shit, David Portnoy has completely failed to do so. The now infamous founder of Barstool Sports is in some fairly serious shit after being accused of borderline criminal and at the very least Chris D'Elia-y activity by the publication formerly known as Business Insider. Now it's just Insider, I guess. I don't know. Apparently, they claim they did an 8-month investigation, one of their journalists, all right, talking basically with young women that Portnoy has hooked up with, which is already in and of itself weird. Just situationally. Journalists going out, basically figuring out who is this guy having over to his house, and then interviewing them. And look, I don't have any information, inside information or otherwise, regarding whether or not he did anything inappropriate with any of these women. And I'm not here to really make a claim based on the accusations that are currently being levied against him. What I'm here to say is that I thought this dude was in on the shtick. I thought he was playing up the douchebag part, going on Tucker Carlson and doing what he needed to do to get his stock up. But I didn't think that when shit hit the fan, like when sexual assault allegations surfaced, real or not, that he would use them to sell fucking pizza. For so many famous people, the fame monster, as Lady Gaga would call it, eats them. And they become like one with the shtick. The shtick becomes them. And I fear that that is what has happened with Portnoy. And all the fuckers who prominently rage against cancel culture are doing so out of fear that inevitably it will come for them. And the fun will end. And I get it, man. It's scary. But just own your shit. And be better. And then you can move on with your life. Stop hurting other people for your own pleasure. It's not that difficult to make the right choices. Like, talking directly to these dudes, you know the difference. You know deep down, when you have a barely legal girl over and you're 50 years old, that you're in a position of power that could easily get out of hand. Admit it to yourself or not, admit it publicly or not, all these dudes know that on some level. And on the record, I own Penn stock, like in large part because I believed in Portnoy's ability to identify talent. Unfortunately, what I've noticed is that he will not properly promote anyone who can outshine him. He's got all these incredibly talented creators and podcasters working for him, and he promotes himself. And he's just another egotistical doofus who doesn't care who gets shit on along the way, as long as he gets his. He's a little Boston Trump. Sad. So as I said on Twitter, I'm out on Portnoy. Whether he did any of the sexual deviancy or not, the man is a toxic nightmare person, undeserving of my time or attention in any capacity. And to a more general point, if you are doing the thing you are doing as a profession to get laid and would not otherwise be doing it, stop doing it. Stop. That's just not how jobs are supposed to work. You've seen too many movies about rock stars. You need to be getting laid on your own accord, not because you founded some website or are a brand on social media or whatever the fuck. If you're a celebrity and you are hooking up with fans, you have already put yourself in a weird position and them in a weird position because you're operating from a position of power, and that position obscures the judgment of the fan, and they might later say they regretted it or were made to be depressed by it, like in the case of Portnoy or whatever the case may be. It's just not a good idea. It's just not a good idea. and if they're 20 years your junior, man, look, I'm not saying people can't safely love or date people 20 years younger or older than them. That's not what I'm saying. But if these girls are like 18 and it's like a 50-year-old woman dating an 18-year-old boy, either way, it doesn't matter. That age difference at 18 or 19 or 17 to 40 to 45 to 50 to 50, like that age difference is too crazy in most situations. Most. I'm not saying there aren't exceptions to the rule or exceptions that prove the rule. Like it varies, because if you ask me when I became an adult, I was 30 years old. So everyone who dated or had sex with me before then is a criminal in my mind. But like 18-year-olds don't know shit. Generally. Having been one, I can confidently say that. And I remember knowing at 18 being like, fuck old people, I do know shit. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. See how easy that is? Just fucking say sorry and apologize. Apologize. That was the other thing in his response that was appalling to me, was a lack of any type of empathy. I just can't, if it's about branding for you when it comes down to accusations of that nature, I'm out. I'm out. Speaking of which, Kanye West is 44 years old currently. 10 years and a day exactly older than me. And he is dating a 22-year-old model. That's double in age, bro. Like, not even saying from a legal standpoint with Kanye, that guy, like, what can they possibly be talking about? Like, she's basically dating a middle-aged alien. That is the strangest human you could date, no matter your age.
That age difference is actually probably pretty similar to if Frank Ocean dated the alien baby he carried to the Met Gala.
But the alien baby was older.
Add like 10 years onto each person, and that's it.
And I mean, 22 is like, at least it's not 18, but I got to imagine she has seen some shit. And he's like openly trying to get back together with his ex-wife. But dating a 22-year-old model. I just hit that guy's life. Holy shit, isn't there a documentary out on Netflix about him?
I have no idea.
They promoted it. I think I need to watch it. Anyway, I was going to say when he gets down, when he's 80, the Kanye movie is going to be amazing. And maybe horrifying. Hopefully not too horrifying, but yeah. That's all I have to say about that. You can follow our show at Ross Bolen Pod on Twitter, at the Ross Bolen Podcast on TikTok and Instagram. Follow the newly engaged, now fiance to a real live woman, at Jared Borislow everywhere. And at WR Bolen is my Twitter and Instagram. A huge shouts, by the way, to Thomas in Michigan for the 4-year chip. Damn it, I left it on the table. I was going to bring it in and show everybody on the video. I'll bring it in next time or on Patreon. But this dude, Thomas, who listens to our show, is over 6 years sober from heroin. And he sent me his 4-year chip to celebrate my 4 years drive from alcohol. Like when you go to recovery, if you're in AA or NA, you get a chip, for a month, for 3 months, for 6 months, for a year, for each year after that. And anyway, it really means a lot to me. Thank you, Thomas. Very cool. Just kind of like I didn't get to go to a meeting. I didn't get to get my own chip. And to have a listener send me theirs to be a part of, to kind of get to be a part of his journey and him mine at the same time is cool. We are like brothers.
I've got something for you as well. I don't know if you know this.
Is this a present?
It's not a present.
Did Ted Cruz retweet us again?
No.
Oh.
I've just found this out. So you used to Twitch a lot.
I still do, but yeah.
Well, you used to do it even more. You did it for 10% of the year 2020.
That's very fair.
10% of the year 2020.
I was on Twitch.
Ross is on Twitch. And so there was a lot of time where Ross's Twitch chat was popping off, just popping. People talking, new people coming in, people finding about RVP from Twitch.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I heard this is crazy.
In Ross's Twitch chat, 2 people, Anthony and Ro, met.
Is his real name Anthony?
Yeah.
That's so not what I know him as.
Meowtoad?
I know him as Meowtoad.
Yeah. So Meowtoad and Ro met in your Twitch chat, and they just got engaged.
Ro. I'm Ro. She changed her Twitch name to Ro, but before that it was something else. And Ro, you're confusing me. But yes, I heard about this over the weekend. It's an amazing story. It's like 2 RBP listeners turned part of the people that, like in 2020, like Jared said, Twitch was huge because of the pandemic, and I spent a lot of time on it, and so I was averaging like 60 viewers an hour, which is a pretty decent amount for Twitch. Our community got pretty big. We have like 1,200 people in our Discord as a result. You should join it. It's awesome, full of RBP listeners and gamers. And these 2 people, Toad and Ro, met on Twitch, dated, and are now going to get married, which is, it's one of those things where it's like when you do what Jared and I do for long enough, that kind of thing happens with your fans sometimes. It's really cool.
You created a new family.
I made love. That's what I did.
You made love happen.
I make love, Jared. I make what? It's not. The dogs have been trying to get fed an hour earlier because of this stupid fucking time change, and they're in here making squealy noises at us right now. If you can hear that in the background and you think we're murdering a small animal, that's not what's happening. It's Bella trying to get fed at 4:39. That's not about to happen, ma'am. Get out of here. Absolutely nuts. I told y'all we would have Bun B scheduled for last week. I had to reschedule due to mental health issues. I look forward to speaking with Bun in the near future. My mental health issues, not his, to be clear. I will obviously share the episode with y'all when we do. On another hip-hop note, I will have a Donda stem player in my possession tomorrow afternoon. I will review it on our next episode or maybe the following one. No further questions at this time.
What's a stem player?
No further questions at this time, Jared. There's a new season of Apex Legends out right now that has been unbelievable. Speaking of gaming, I've been deep into that, so I am on twitch.tv/bossroll and a lot more right now than usual. If you want to come through and see the new season of one of the most popular video games in the world at the moment, and also Warzone launched a new season, or a new game, or a new whatever. I don't even know how to describe what they're doing with their franchise at this point.
Well,
it's
there's like 5 different developers, so it's kind of
pretty annoying, but we got Vanguard out as well, which is also huge, and at some point I'm sure Jared and I will Twitch that if our lives dictate that we have that kind of time in the next couple weeks. So stay on the lookout for, what else? Formula Bone dropped its first podcast ever. Make sure, as we said last week, that you are subscribed or you follow on whatever podcast you listen to or whatever platform you listen to podcasts.
I have 2 episodes out now.
Formula Bone, 2 episodes out.
New episode coming this week. If you're a Formula One fan, I'll be recapping the Mexico City Grand Prix that just happened and then previewing the Sao Paulo Grand Prix that takes place this weekend.
Sao Paulo. Love that. Formula Bone. As we said earlier, Jared's proposal story should be romantic and riveting.
Patreon.com/Ross Bolen Podcast, Friday.
Available on Patreon this Friday. We'll be back soon. Thank y'all again for bearing with me during the mental health struggles. I appreciate you. Stay safe out there.
Vomit whale.